to the United States and is a former senior advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you as well. I have to ask you, do you know anything about this meeting yesterday?
With the American ambassador?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say something to Orrin. The reason why the only ambassador that the Prime Minister of Israel met with was the American ambassador is that's the only country where we have any expectation to actually stand with us at the United Nations. Look, it's an old story that the United Nations gangs up against Israel. What is new is that the United States did not stand up and oppose that gang up. And what is outrageous is that the United States was actually behind that gang up. I think it was a very sad day and really a shameful chapter in U.S.-Israel relations.
Ambassador, what's the evidence that the United States was behind this gang up? I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, well, we have clear evidence of it. We will present that evidence to the new administration through the appropriate channels, and if they want to share it with the American people...
Why not present when this whole
Like I said, we will
going
present the evidence to the new administration, and if they want to share it with the American people, they're welcome to do it. We are deeply disappointed by this decision that was made. Look, I've listened and heard a lot of the talks over the last 3 days about what this Security Council resolution means. It's very important to understand it because people can get lost in all the details. The Palestinians are trying to wage a diplomatic and legal war against Israel. They do not want to negotiate peace with us, which is why they've avoided negotiations for 8 years. It's why Arafat walked away from Prime Minister Barak at Camp David. It's why Abu Mazen never answered to Ehud Olmert's sweeping offer in 2008, and it's why they've avoided negotiations with us for 8 years. What do the Palestinians want? What they want is to blame Israel for the lack of peace and to internationalize the conflict, to have boycotts and sanctions against Israel, to take Israeli soldiers to the ICC. And what this resolution just did is it gave the Palestinians ammunition in their diplomatic and legal war against Israel. And the United States not only didn't stop it, they were behind it.
Okay, so I have to ask you, Ambassador, because this is only the first resolution that's critical of Israel that the Obama administration is allowed to pass. It doesn't impose sanctions on Israel, and previous presidents have gone much further. In fact, George W. Bush allowed multiple UN resolutions slamming Israel.
No, that's all false. That's been said. That's all
not
false.
So
what
why is all this ire reserved for the current
I'll just tell you the
president?
facts, because my sense of history goes back beyond breakfast. What happened was, in President Bush's waning days of his administration, there was a resolution that had to deal with the end of the war in Gaza, and Israel acquiesced to that resolution. We're never happy with Security Council
So you're saying that it didn't happen?
But not only did they not come to...
You're saying that it didn't happen? It did happen?
No, I said that it did happen, but Israel acquiesced to it. You look at the time what Israel said in response to it, and you'll see.
So my question is then, why all the ire for President Obama when it has happened since 1967? Technically, since 1967, consecutive U.S. administrations, starting with Lyndon Johnson and continuing through George W. Bush, they've made it clear to their opposition against the settlements. Again, the question is why the ire, if you'll let me finish my question, I will let you answer. Why the ire for President Obama when no ire for George W. Bush or previous presidents?
Look, the fact that we have a difference of agreement with the United States over settlements is not new. That's an ongoing disagreement that we've had. But this is the first resolution in the United Nations, in the Security Council, since the days of Jimmy Carter, 36 years ago, which, by the way, also happened in December at the end of his tenure of his administration. So to bring a resolution to the Security Council is not just something that Israel opposes, it's something that Barack Obama opposed. In September 2011, he stood at the United Nations and he said these issues should not be handled at the UN Security Council. They should be handled through negotiations. We agree in that. We have a disagreement with the administration over settlements. But you don't take, as the Prime Minister just said, you don't take your friends to the Security Council. And this is why it was such a breach of American policy. Look, let me ask you a question, Don. Does the United States government believe that the Western Wall is occupied Palestinian territory? Yes or no?
You'll have to, ask the United States government that. But I want to say,
well,
in response to what you just said before that, the Obama administration says that this abstention is in line with previous administration stances on settlement activity. This is Ben Rhodes. Listen.
Not since Jimmy Carter.